Let's get it. And we're live.
So what, did you move dinner?
So that we moved it. Yeah, it's not tonight. It would have been too late.
All right, hold on, I'll be right back.
To either Saturday or Sunday.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Alrighty.
Look, my dog Evan was standing in his crib.
Oh yeah.
Wanted to come guest appearance on the pod.
Maybe next year.
Next year, maybe. All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You just kick it off.
Let's kick it off, baby. Pod 5 2024, week 4 of the NFL season is upon us. Another Wednesday episode, Nick, because no matter what our schedules are, we're here for the people. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. Just came off a 3-mile run. Day 2 of the marathon training block. Ready to go. NFL week 4.
I love it. Juices have to be flowing after that. And you didn't hear it on the YouTube, but you just heard our custom new theme music. And shout out our guy. Who's our guy who did it for us?
Our guy Spencer Bowden. Shout out. Big ups to you for providing that guitar, that metal guitar, and that little hip hop bass line.
My man. And Rome is in the building. My dog, appreciate you being here as always. And I want to say something about our sponsors, Nick, because last week I briefly mentioned it, but Diet Smoke is on another level, all right? And I'm not even going to talk anymore. It's been years talking about the gummies and the vapes and the THC and the Delta 8. I don't even care about that stuff anymore. It's the mushroom gummies, okay? That's all it is. It's lion's mane. It's 2 other types of these mushrooms, and it's a little bit of caffeine. And let me tell you, you have one of these gummies every day, and you're feeling like $1,000,000. Your mind's sharp, and you feel phenomenal. Go check out these things. 20% off. Code Nick and Bean. E on the end. Nick, they're game changers. They're not the mushrooms that mess with your head. They just make you sharp, and they're just incredible. I've been using them for about a week now and absolutely loving it. And so code Nick and Bean will get you 20% off just your first order. And let's get into the recap. Nick, why don't you start us off? How'd you do last week?
So I went 1-2 in the betting. The Saints crushed me. They didn't look in that game at all. Maybe at the first they got like up 3-0, and I might have thought like, okay, we might have something, but their offense never really was able to put it quite together. They didn't get like ran through. Pause. They only allowed 15 points, but they never really were looking on top of the Eagles in that one.
Yep. So you went 1-2, Prop God 1-2 as well. And I mean, I will say I had a stinker of a game Monday night. The Jags got absolutely killed.
Ugh.
I got a little bit too cute there, but the Ravens were an easy winner, and the under in the Bears game were an easy winner. We've had 3 weeks of picks. I've went 2-1 each week, 6-3 overall on the season. Prop God is 4-3, and you are 3-4. So we're overall we are in the black when it comes to gambling, and looking to continue on that this week. Let's dive in. Let's get into it right away. Week 3.
Fantasy. I went 2-2.
Tell me about your fantasy.
Yeah, I went 2-2 in fantasy.
Okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
3-3 down the middle. Yeah, I guess I forgot to even put that in the notes, but one of Gerald's in the building. What's goody?
What up,
What a
Gerald?
weird fantasy week. Honestly, I think I haven't done the math or the research, but I think it was the lowest scoring fantasy week in 20 years because
Wow.
it was absolutely crazy. I saw scores of 40 and 50 points in some of my leagues. And then, of
Hmm.
course, there were some of the teams, like if you started Jawan Jennings and a couple other guys that put up crazy numbers, but an absolutely polarizing, weird fantasy week. Yeah, it was just crazy. So 3-3 for me, 2-2 for you. Now,
Yeah.
let's get into that crazy week 3. And you just mentioned it, but the Saints came back to life.
Mhm.
Jalen Carter for the Eagles absolutely wrecked the entire game for the Saints. A weird one, 15-12 Eagles win. Saquon House is a 65-yarder, and Dallas Goedert goes for 10 catches, 170 yards, making him the number one tight end in fantasy on the year. And they beat the Saints. Your team came back to life, Nick.
Yeah. Yeah, the Saints are no longer leading in the EPA per play. They still aren't, like, I wouldn't say they're a bad team. Um, Overall, I don't think anyone preseason would have them where they have them right now.
Yep.
And I think it's showing in the numbers, like with them being, were they favored against Philly? I think, yeah, they're -3
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
Philly. So,
minus 2.5
you
or
know,
3. Yep.
the market probably overreacted. I probably overreacted by firing it twice. I kind of knew it ahead of time, but I couldn't stop myself. I had to fire again. We'll see if I bet them this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have that game in my pod picks as well. So we'll talk about that later. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, okay. I was making a joke earlier this week, but if you're dropped on planet Earth, okay, Nick, and you've never watched NFL football before this season, and you watch just weeks 1-3, okay, you would think the Minnesota Vikings were a class above the rest of the NFL, and Sam Darnold was a generational quarterback. He threw for 4 touchdowns. They absolutely dominated a really good Texans team and a really solid Texans defense. Jefferson got one. Jones got one. Naylor got one. I mean, Darnold picked them apart. This Vikings team looks like they're for real. Now, maybe this is a Saints thing all over again. Maybe we're jumping to conclusions here, but we're going off of what we've seen, and they're a perfect 3-0 and looking really good.
Yeah, preseason I was very low on the Saints. Week 4, is that more than a quarter of the way through, or is 17 games in one bye?
Saints
Or
or
is it
Vikings?
16?
Are you still on the Saints?
I'm talking about Vikings.
Okay. All right.
It's,
So you were
like
low on the
similar
Vikings.
thing. I was
Yeah.
low on the Vikings preseason. They had one guy get arrested, quarterback draft pick blows his crap out. Like it was a series of things.
Their second round pick died.
Someone died.
Yeah, he died.
You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
a
it was
lot of
crazy.
it was a lot
The
of stuff.
vibes were bad in Minnesota.
It was a lot of stuff. So honestly, where they're at right now, shocking to me. A quarter of the way through season, or almost a quarter of the way through the season.
Yep, we'll see if they can keep it up. That's in our preview. Big game against the Packers this week. Moving on, let me paint a picture for you. Opening kickoff, the Browns kick it off to the Giants. The Giants run it back. Guy gets popped, fumbles the football. Next play, they throw a touchdown to Amari Cooper. 7-0 Browns. We all thought it was about to be a demolition. 21 unanswered from Daniel Jones and the best receiver in the NFL, Malik Neighbors. The Giants get a win in Cleveland. Neighbors is the number one fantasy receiver in PPR, number one targets in the league, and they really picked apart a really solid Browns defense and got a huge win. I mean, if they go to 0-3, it's an absolute catastrophe, especially playing Dallas tomorrow night. And what a win for the Giants. What you got anything on this game?
Yeah, not much, but freaking wasn't Amari actually out on that touchdown? Like he only got 1 foot in, so they didn't end up getting 7 points on that. I'm pretty sure.
No, he got the touchdown.
He got the touchdown?
He got 2 touchdowns.
Or maybe they went back to him. Yeah, maybe they went back to him. There was someone like right after the fumble recovery, they threw a touchdown pass, but he didn't get the second foot in. I thought we were like blowout city. From that point on, took the wind out of me. I was like, screw this game.
Yeah, I cannot believe the Giants did that, but shout out to them. Great job there. And talking about can't believe they did this. Andy Dalton steps in just like he did last year
Yes.
and basically ended Bryce Young's career with one performance. I mean, we said it last week that, and remember, hand up here. I loved Bryce Young coming in. I
Yeah.
really thought, I said it last year. I thought he was better than CJ Stroud. I will take the L on Bryce Young.
Big L.
Okay. But we knew last week when they had the best pass protection in the league and he was getting nothing done that it was a bad situation. And it showed when they put Dalton in. He's the only quarterback this year to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game with no interceptions. He dominated the Raiders. And the NFL, it's just incredible. Any given Sunday is the truth because the week before, the Raiders come back and beat Baltimore, and then they get trounced by the Panthers at home. It's just this league is just incredible. So shout out to Andy Dalton. Deontay Johnson had 20 plus fantasy points. Chuba Hubbard had 20 plus fantasy points. They dialed it up, and huge performance from them. Talking about blowing it, the Ravens tried to do it again, Nick. What's going on with this team?
I don't know. I mean, I believe in the Ravens. They're still ranked pretty high in all the stats. They don't seem to get it done like in crunch time or like when things actually matter. You can always kind of put them in for maybe 9-10 wins in the regular season, but it's when it gets down the road that gets tough for them. I'm not going to rule them out of that, but right now it's not looking in the card for them. What I wanted to say about Andy Dalton, though, is he's a starting level quarterback in this league. He just like happened to be in a situation where he's playing second behind Bryce Young, but there's a couple quarterbacks in the league that he could start over, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so he's a guy for me who can come in and make like 4 to 6 solid starts, and then he starts to suck again. That's
Yeah.
that's
You
my
think
opinion on it.
once he gets more than 4 games, the
He was like
Cinderella's lost her shoe?
Fitzpatrick. Remember Fitzpatrick? He'd come in, he'd be great for 4 games, and then he would be
Right.
awful. Like he's a veteran quarterback. He's great to have in the locker room, and he gets a revenge game against the Bengals at home this week, which will be fun. So
Epic.
I'm rooting for him. He's been in the league forever, so he is a really good backup and clearly better than Bryce Young. About the Ravens. So they were 0-2. They were my best bet last week. Easy winner, even though they went up 28-0 or whatever it was, 28-7. And it ends up being 28-25. They try to blow the game again. Like, it's just crazy. This team, the best running team, Derrick Henry has a monster game. Run the clock out. Just run the clock out. I don't understand it. But either way, big win to get to 1-2. You can't go 0-3 in that division. We were talking about this play before the pod started. The Lions are just cool, man. They throw it over the middle. Amon-Ra catches it. He flicks it to Jahmyr Gibbs. He houses it. They do a cool celebration. This team's got good vibes. They get another win. I think are they 2-1 or 3-0 on the year? I think they are. Give that to me. Oh, they lost to the Bucks last week, so they're 2-1.
Okay.
Laporta did get hurt, and I don't think he'll be playing for a couple weeks. But I'm telling you, this Lions team, we all knew it before the season. We thought it would look a little cleaner than it is, but they've got weapons all over the field. Montgomery's doing his thing. Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, and big win for them in Arizona.
Oh yeah.
Last game, the last game before we get to the week 4 preview, just really quickly, I had to mention it. Jauan Jennings and the Niners were absolutely dominating the Rams. Number 1 fantasy performance on the season, 11 catches, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns. They're up 24-14 with 10 minutes left in the game, and they lose in regulation. An absolute choke job from the Niners. Their whole team is injured too now. McCaffrey going to Germany to get his Achilles looked at. Debo's out. Kittle's out. And guess what? On top of it, they lose Javon Hargraves, torn tricep, I believe it was. He's done for the season. He is the heart of that defensive line. And it just seems like last year they ran well, but it just seems like this team has bad luck with injuries, and it's happened over the last decade or so. And it's starting to feel like maybe those 2 Super Bowls they lost to the Chiefs, maybe those were their 2 opportunities, because I don't want to say it yet. I'm not giving up on them, but it just seems like they could be like the year from hell team where just injuries kill them and maybe they don't make a run like they have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened to them multiple times, like you said. Like, it's either the quarterback or their defensive end. It's always something with them. The Green Bay Packers are actually the number one run team in the league right now over the Baltimore Ravens. But we're about to get into that soon.
Beautiful. That's a great segue because Malik Willis, not Malik Neighbors, he's got these boys playing in Green Bay. I mean, 2 weeks ago against the Colts, they just ran the ball every play because no one thought Malik Willis could do anything. He did some things this last game. They look great. They blew the Titans out. The Titans are sitting there. They traded Malik Willis for nothing after drafting him in the 3rd round, and they got Will Levis. He's throwing up turnovers all over the place. All he can do is turn the ball over. He throws it behind his head.
Shocking stuff. Like I've looked at the game. I'm not a football coach, and I'm like, what the fuck is that guy doing?
For real. It's just absolutely crazy. But either way, let's get into it. So Malik Willis, I don't think he'll be playing this week. I think Jordan Love will be back. But the Vikings, the class of the NFL, shall I say, are traveling to Green Bay, a classic rivalry. Green Bay is -2.5, which makes me think Love is playing. The over-under is 43.5. Give us the breakdown on this game, Nick.
Yeah, so like I said, Green Bay has the number one rushing offense in yards per game this year so far. Minnesota is 7th in EPA per play. Green Bay is 8th in EPA per play. Minnesota has the number one defense in DVOA, which means you put them, it's averaged against it takes out the scheduling strengths, like whether you played a poor team or a bad team, it kind of normalizes that. So they're number one overall, while Green Bay has the number one overall offense in DVOA. So we're seeing some pretty good key out of these NFC North, right? I can't speak. Let me slow down.
NFC North is correct.
North. We're seeing some pretty good quality play out of these two teams.
Yep, Brian Flores has got that defense confusing absolutely everyone they've played. Jordan Love should be back. I mean, this is really a great matchup with these two teams here. And early money is flooding in on the Vikings with, obviously, it's still Wednesday. It's an early week or early in the week, but 81% of the bets that have come in are on the Vikings. Also, we got a little Aaron Jones revenge game. Remember, he wanted to stay in Green Bay. They shipped him out for Josh Jacobs. He's in Minnesota now. A lot of intertwined pieces here. I am excited for this game. I actually lean Green Bay here. I think Love will be healthy enough to get it done. I think they run the ball well. I think he makes a couple plays, and I actually think that Green Bay defense actually shows itself. So I would lean Green Bay here. It's not a game I am betting yet, but what'd you pull up here, Nick? You got a little chart for us?
Yeah. If anything, I might like the over, but yeah. So this chart is showing the DVOAs. Not the DVOAs, my gosh. It's showing the EPA per play defense versus offensive EPA per play. So that is showing both sides of the ball. It's got Minnesota and Green Bay above the line that they consider Super Bowl contenders. The Saints back here last week were up here by themselves at best since 2009. Now it's the Bills over there.
Well, the Bills after Monday night. Yeah, crazy.
We've got a bunch of teams fading towards the Panthers at worst overall since 2009 with Jags, Dolphins, Tennessee. Even the Raiders are getting close. And how about them Cowboys?
Segue us into the next game. Give me 1 second here.
Okay. The next game, we've got two pretty decent teams. It's also a divisional matchup. We've got the Eagles at the Bucks. We've got Tampa Bay 4th in EPA per play. We've got Philly at 6th in EPA per play. Philly has the 10th best offensive DVOA on the year. And so they've really been putting it together. Even without their quarterback, they looked good last week, maybe even better. Tampa is top 10 with 7.8 passing yards per attempt. Chris Godwin has continued to look very good throughout the season. Not looking like that knee is bothering him too much. When you compare the offensive DVOA with the defensive DVOA on this chart, we've got Tampa looking kind of worse than what they would consider median. They're grouped over here with the Patriots, the Giants, so that's not looking that great. We've got Philly kind of hovering around playoff contender so far against the bunch. not too far behind San Fran and KC, but also not too much ahead of the Bengals. So yeah, Bean, you got anything on Philly minus 2.5 at the Buccaneers? Over under
Sorry
at
about
40.
that. Sorry about that. Yeah, Eagles Bucks rematch from playoffs. If you didn't say that already, tough game. I could see this going either way. I don't have a lean on it. If anything, I'm thinking under here.
Okay. It looks like
And
the
then-
over under is 44, not 43. I think, but I think it just moved up.
Yep, exactly. And then, all right, let's get into the two of the primetime games, which are absolutely fire. Bills Ravens Sunday night. Bills travel to Baltimore. Baltimore's minus 2.5. Over under is 46.5. This game's going to be awesome, and this Bills D that has been proving me wrong every week is going to get a real test this week. Nick, what do you got on this game?
Yeah, so we got the second most rushing yards per game with the Baltimore Ravens. Derrick Henry seems to find the end zone basically every week. I like him. I like to have him on your fantasy team. He doesn't seem to get like 100 yards per game or a bunch of yards per carry, but he's just going to tumble into the end zone. And he's on a great rushing attack. Buffalo Bills also look very legit this year. They're second highest in EPA per play. They've got the sixth best defense in DVOA. Baltimore, not too shabby. They're at 10th. But Buffalo is also at the number one overall spot in offensive DVOA. They're tied for third. They're right at the top of the league in where I don't have the number here. Wrong one. Yeah. So, anyways, they're right at the top of the league at 8.7 yards per pass and passing attempt. And Baltimore is a little bit further down at 7.8, which isn't too bad, but not quite as good as Buffalo. I think there's only one other team ahead of them, and that's New Orleans with a little bit of that outlier performance they had at the beginning of the year.
Yep. And yeah, Derrick Henry had a huge yardage game last game, though. So he was just tumbling in the end zone those first couple games, but last game he had the most rushing yards in the league last week by far. So that's going to be a great game. I lean heavy Ravens. I'll probably end up betting it. It's not a pod pick, but I lean Ravens big time. I think this defense finally gets exposed. But again, I was burned last week, so it's tough to go all in against the Bills again. And then Monday night, we have a game here in Miami, actually, which usually would have been great. But no Tua. Hopefully Tyler Huntley plays. So we'll see about that, but that's not the game we're talking about. We're talking about Seahawks at Lions. Seahawks 3-0, Lions 2-1. These are two really good teams. They had a shootout last year in Detroit. So this is an exciting game. Detroit's minus 3.5, the hook there, and the over-under is 46.5. I think the Lions crush them, Nick. I think this is the game they finally Seattle finally comes back down to earth. Kenneth Walker probably not playing again, and I think the Lions will just be too much for them here. What do you got on this game? Gerald's back in the building. All good, Gerald. Good to have you back.
Jerry. We've got the Seattle Seahawks with the third most passing yards per game at 246.7 yards. Detroit, a little bit further down, they're at 7th. I wouldn't have thought that preseason. The Seahawks got the number 2 overall defensive DVOA. So those guys are the scheme that was new last year seems to be sticking and holding true this year. Detroit is tied with the Miami Dolphins at 6.9 yards per pass attempt. That's not something that you want to be tied with us in. And Detroit is
Dolphins.
Yeah, one of the differences though, Detroit's top 10 in defensive DVOA, and the coach goes for a lot of fourth downs. So we've got Seattle minus 3.5. I don't have a bet in that game, but Seattle plus 3.5. I would probably like T Seattle or something if I had to play something.
Get through the 7 and get it all the way up to 9.5. I don't hate that. I'm really liking this double Monday night, though. This week was great. We had 2 great games going on at the same time. And let's do a quick shout out to Jaden Daniels because he was fucking phenomenal. What a game from him. Well. So either way, we got great primetime games, Bills, Ravens, Seahawks, Lions, and then even toss in the Dolphins, Titans as a bonus. Now, Nick,
Yeah.
6-3 on the year. I'm hitting everything. Let me tell you, it's been, I was a little bit down. The Jags were getting killed. So I threw in the Jamar Chase first touchdown bet. That hit to kind of save my night there. But let's bring in, I think, honestly, Nick, it's been
Yeah.
maybe 2.5 years since he had a losing week on the show. So let's bring in the
Okay.
prop god coming off a tough week. It wasn't his best week, but he's human. And when you're a god like this, it's good to see that he's human. It's good to see that he can bleed, and he's going to come back this week. How you feeling, brother?
I was feeling pretty beat up on Sunday, you know, but like you said, never actually have had a losing week on this show. This was the first sub 500 week for the prop guy. We're going to call him this week. He's the prop guy.
Oh, no, we're taking off the god.
So
he's the prop guy.
Yeah. So, but
let me edit it.
Listen to this.
Shit, I deleted it.
Listen to this, folks. I heard this stat and I felt a lot better. This was the least field goals and kicker fantasy points in the last 5 years in the NFL this week. This was a fluky week.
It was a bloodbath.
Yeah, and I do want to at least talk about last week a little bit about what happened. So we had the Bucs kicker over 1.5 field goals and the Browns kicker over 1.5 field goals. Okay. The Bucs were playing the Broncos, should be a blowout, right? And the Browns were playing the Giants, you know, another game they should dominate. So obviously it went the other way, and the Broncos blew out the Bucs. The Giants beat down the Browns, and the game script is what really messed with us. Okay. If you know, we're taking these teams that are usually favored because we think, oh, they're going to be up in the game, they're going to get field goal opportunities, and guess what? If the underdog does somehow manage to pull out one of these games, it's usually because the favorite is kicking some field goals when they should be scoring touchdowns. So this was kind of a fluky week, but you know, we're trusting the process. We're trusting the system. We're 4-3 on the year, you know. So
listen, trust the process. When has that ever not worked? Trusting the process always works, unless you're the Philadelphia 76ers and Ben Simmons quits playing the sport. So we don't have any Ben Simmons here. We're not quitters, so we're going to be fine. Now, it's been working out. Obviously, I'm on fire, can't be stopped. Nick is only a game under 500 with a couple shaky weeks. Maybe the Saints got in his head. Maybe Derek Carr did some, you know, Louisiana voodoo on him, but we're back. We're getting back to the 3-man weave. I'm Nash at the top of the point. Nick, let me swing it to you, Anthony Edwards. Hit a jumper for us. What do we got?
All right. I was definitely ready for that. I've got Browns +2 against Las Vegas. Las Vegas got the third worst run defense in the league, giving up 152.7 yards per game. They also have the 32nd worst run offense in the league. So the Browns are going to eat them up on the ground, and they're going to also contain Vegas on the ground. Vegas team, they won 2 weeks ago against
the Ravens.
Against Philly. No, Ravens, sorry. Yeah. Against the Ravens. I was like, what good team was it in the NFC? But yeah. So they won 2 weeks ago. And yeah, 2 different conferences. Good fact check.
Nick, just so you know, prop god, I don't know if you were here for the beginning of the show. Nick ran 42 miles before the show, so he's a little jacked up right now. Keep going, Nick.
Yeah. So, as I was, Cleveland has been horrible in the air, but they're not going to need it this week. They're going to get this one done on the ground. Browns +2, getting 2 points. I believe it might even be at home. Let me confirm that.
Nope, it's on the road. I like the bet, Nick. This is going to be a defensive performance. PG, let's swing it to you.
Over under at 37.5 on that game. Like, yeah, this is right in the
wheelhouse. Is it 37.5? Is that it?
Yeah. So you're getting plus points almost. Yeah, you're getting +2 in that condition.
I should
take
know it because I won't spoil it. All right, keep going. Go ahead.
All right. Let me just say this for the people too. We usually
Say it.
record the pod later in the week. We're
Yeah.
doing it early this week. So, it's kind of like comparable to Thursday night football. We may not all be on top of our game this week. It may get a little sloppy at times, but that's how it's go. That's how
Bro, pre-show, I had 3 or 4 different bets. I'm not playing any of them on the show. I had to come up with 3 more new ones. So
Listen,
that's what we're getting here.
We put in the work for the people. That's as simple
Had
as
to.
that. Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. A week in advance. I mean, fuck it. Let's ride.
Let's ride. And folks, I have a rule usually where I'll never give something out that is, worse payout than minus 130. Okay. I don't want to taint the record. Minus 130 is the lowest I'll go. But, okay, we have a Wednesday podcast. We've got Brandon Aubrey on Thursday Night Football at the New York Football Giants. We're taking Brandon Aubrey over 1.5 field goals, minus 140 on Hard Rock.
I love it.
And I promise you, the fact that we're doing this with the minus 140 pick, I will give you guys a booster on the way back around on something that has a great payout. So first pick, Brandon Aubrey over 1.5 field goals, Thursday Night Football special.
I love it. I fired it yesterday for an irresponsible amount of money, but we're going to win that bet. I've never felt better about that bet, and I'm happy. It's kind of fate that we're recording Wednesday so that you could get that bet in. And also another bonus bet that I'm not giving as a pod pick, but could be considered because technically, either way, CeeDee Lamb's going to score a touchdown tomorrow. There is no doubt in my mind. It's minus 120 on Hard Rock, so it's a little bit juiced. You could parlay that with the Aubrey if you want. CeeDee Lamb's getting in the end zone. He hasn't gotten the end zone yet this year. I don't believe. Is that correct? I know you have him beat it on a couple teams. I don't think he has.
I don't think he scored.
He's scoring.
This is around the time last year too, where the Cowboys were great, but they went through a little bit of a struggle. And this is when he started demanding the ball. He became the diva wide receiver. And I think we're going to see that again right now.
You know what, though?
He's demanding the ball.
He doesn't have the diva in him, which I wish he did, because he came out today. I don't know if you saw it, but no diva wide receiver does this. He came out today and apologized for his actions on the sideline on Sunday. The divas that I like, they need to double down on the complaints. The Stephon Diggs, the A.J. Browns, you need to just complain your face off. But CeeDee's going to get the ball. He will. And I got him to score a touchdown. Now, let me give you my first bet. I only have 2 bets, so I don't know how many you guys have, but I'll keep dishing the rock, but I've got 2 bets this week. And my first one, Nick, when you said it was under 37 on that Cleveland Las Vegas game, I absolutely I saw it at 37.5. 37, I like it even more. The lower it goes, the better, guys. The lowest total on the week always goes under. Okay. Did he score against New Orleans? Gerald says CeeDee might have scored. Well,
we can check.
Nick will fact check that now. Did he? Okay.
No. So he scored week 1, maybe.
He definitely didn't score week 1.
Yeah.
You're right. He had a big one against New Orleans. So true. Great call, Gerald. This is why Gerald's in the building. Gerald, go to Diet Smoke, code Nick and Bean. I'll boost your percentage off to 50. What a guy. So yeah, he had a 60-yard touchdown, I'm pretty sure. But he's scoring again this week. Now, back to my under. Cleveland, Las Vegas. We know Deshaun Watson sucks. We know that Gardner Minshew's hit his 3-game threshold, and he's probably going into the toilet, and Aiden O'Connell will take over sooner than later. This is going to be a grinded-out game. The Raiders have a decent defense. If Max Crosby can get to the quarterback a couple times, we know the Browns have a solid defense. This game screams 17-10 to me, 17-14, and if you really want to know why you should bet this, just go look at the rest of the season. All my unders are hitting the past few weeks. Please go look. Ride this under. Las Vegas and Cleveland, under 37. Book it. Nick, back to you.
Back to Nick. Back to me. All right. The next one, I'm going back in the wheel, back in the honey hole, back in the wheelhouse. I got a
God.
teaser.
Oh, I thought it was the Saints. I thought it was the Saints. I was going to puke.
Nah, I'm off that narcotic. All right. So
all right. Give us the teaser.
I've got a 6-point teaser. I've got Tampa taking them up to plus 2.5. I think they're well matched against the Philly Eagles. Last week was a horrible showing by Tampa. I don't think they lay an egg twice in a row. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I like them teased out to plus 8.5. The total isn't too high in that game. I think it's like mid 40s or low 40s. They got a 43. That's 44. That's like an average NFL game. Maybe not this season. It's been low this year. My next one, I've got Tennessee Titans teased up to plus 7. I don't think the Miami Dolphins are blowing anyone out. The total in that one has to be high 30s. Give me Tennessee Titans plus 7 and Tampa teased up to plus 8.5.
God, I've never felt better about the Dolphins this week. Beedick, prop god, up to you, brother. What do you got for us?
So I've actually got a 2-for-1 here. All right. This is going to be 2 separate props in one. Okay. We did this last year a couple times, and I think we went 4-0 total with these. So first prop, it's going to be Zach Ertz, tight end for the Washington Commanders, going back to Arizona in a revenge game against his former team. Okay. We're taking him over 29.5 yards.
I got you at 28.5 on Hard Rock.
28.5. Love that. At minus 115 is what I saw it at. Okay. Over the last 2 weeks, he's got 100 yards. So he's averaging 50.
And it's a revenge game. This is awesome.
Yeah. He's got 9 catches over the last 2 games. The point total in this game is 50 points. Okay. Commanders, Cardinals. This thing's going to be a shootout. Bet placed, Eric Bean, right there. Okay. Well, let me get you ready for pick number 3 total. Okay. And I said I would make it up to you on the Aubrey low payout. We're going Zach Ertz over 3.5 receptions. Okay. It is plus 130 on Hard Rock.
Plus 135 on Hard Rock now.
Plus 135. Zach Ertz over 3.5 catches. Again, he's had 9 over the last 2 games. He's getting targeted. It's a rookie quarterback. It's his safety valve. And he's a possession receiver. I actually like the over 3.5 receptions almost more than the yards. I love them both. So that's going to be picks 2 and 3. And I do have another one on the way back around.
Awesome. All right. So, and I think Nick has another one. So I'll give you my second, and then you guys can finish with your third picks. Gerald's on it. Let's go, Gerald. Yeah, I just put a hundo piece on it as well. All right. Here's my game of the week for you. Okay. And Nick and the Saints, they were going marching. You know, he had his time with the Saints. Derek Carr was playing well, throwing the rock around. Shaheed and him were on the same page. Olave and him, Kamara. The defense was playing solid. Now, the defense still played solid last week, but the offense showed, I think the game plan that Philly had is going to be something that other teams can look at and slow this team down. And they go to Atlanta. It's a division rival, okay? And the most public bet team so far, and again, we're early in the week, so this could change, but I'm seeing the early trends are the public is loving New Orleans, okay? They had one bad game. The public's back on New Orleans. I think the Falcons are the perfect matchup for them, okay? This defense has a lot of pieces. Simmons and Bates in the back. They've got A.J. Terrell, who's a lockdown corner, solid linebackers, Judon's rushing the passer. This team is solid, and Kirk is getting better and better. He looked a lot better this past week. He's a little bit more mobile. Drake London's getting going. And God, is Bijan is he? I mean, he's definitely a top 5 back in the league. He might be my favorite back to watch. You just can't get him to the ground. He looks great. So I am going to take the Falcons -2.5 at home. And they're going to win this game by exactly 3 points. I don't know if you can bet that, but it'll be an exactly 23-20 or 20-17 win for the Falcons. Book it, my best bet of the week.
I love that bet as much as that Bears Colts under last week. That I hear it, I'm like, I love that. I'm on it.
Let's go.
Yes.
All right, Nick.
All right. My next one is a bonus play. We're turning into the prop guys. I've got over on Carson Steele rushing yards. I've got him at 22.5. Is that a current line on his rushing yards? Or
I'll get it right now. That seems low.
That's got to be receiving. I don't believe it.
Let me get a fact check on those real quick.
Nick is taking down the system. I don't even have it up on my
Hard Rock hasn't all the props aren't really up yet on Hard Rock. It was tough work digging through on a Wednesday.
Yep. So I don't see it there, Nick, but I'm going to confirm on another site. Keep going.
Yeah, keep looking to see if you can find them. Yeah, I think that rushing yards would be way too low if that is the accurate number. Carson Steele, Isaiah Pacheco's out. Carson Steele is going to be toting the rock for the most part in Kansas City. So, yeah, 22.5 would be way too low. Those are almost like quarterback numbers. You'll see what's it called? The dude Jacksonville.
I'm going to say it's probably between 45
like 17.5
would be my guess on that prop.
If it's 45, I obviously don't like it quite as much. So that's why right now it is a bonus play, and I'm searching to see if I can find it.
Oh, Nick, I love you, brother. I've known you my whole life. I absolutely love you. You're a gem. If this is the right line, then you're the
right line.
You're the sharpest gambler on the face of this earth.
Check what it was last week. How about?
I can't even check it. I don't know where it is. It doesn't exist. Rushing yards line. We're looking it up right now. All right, let's see. Betting pros. Let's see what we've got.
It was 45.5 last week.
Yeah, it's going to be in the 50s.
Nick. It'll definitely be higher than that.
All right, so Nick, you probably got duped by the receiving yards or something. It's all good. We're scratching that. Do you have a third pick?
Scratching that. No, I don't have a third pick.
Okay.
I took his receiving yards last week. I can't remember if it hit.
I don't think he caught a pass. So Nick, I've got Atlanta and I've got the under in the Vegas game. You have Cleveland and you have a teaser with the Titans and the Bucks, correct?
Yes.
All right. And Bedick has the lock of the year, the Aubrey pick, and he's got the over on both Ertz receiving yards and catches. Prop guy this week, give us your third and final bet, and we will close the podcast out with FanDuel.
I'm going to stick with my 3. There's 3 more. There's 3 more that I
kind of want to play them.
No, I love them. They're all just minus 140. So, again, we gave you the plus 130 pick, plus 135.
Plus 135.
Fuck it. I'm giving another minus 140 is Kaimi Fairbairn over 1.5 field goals. Texans play the Jaguars. Okay. Again, it checks all the boxes. We expect them to be winning this game. And if the Texans aren't winning this game, it's probably because they kicked field goals. So I love Fairbairn over 1.5 field goals. Butker, again, it's the same situation as the Texans game. Butker is minus 140. I'm not going to give that out, but that's going to hit too. But yeah, so what I did on this, I did this with Aubrey as well. I did Hard Rock promotions, same game parlay. So I'll do Aubrey and the Cowboys to win, and then I'll do Fairbairn and the Texans to win, and that gets you to like plus 120 or something. That's a way to do it, but we're just going to count Fairbairn over 1.5 field goals. So we've got 4 this week.
Oh, okay. All right. I love
like it.
that. And I like you can also, so the Fairbairn and the Bucker have some heavy juice. I like putting those two together, and you're almost getting plus 200 on that. I think
Let's
we
do
should
that.
just,
Let's call that the 4th pick. Fairbairn and Bucker parlay.
yeah, it's plus 185. I just put it in. So you got the Ertz picks, you got the Fairbairn Bucker parlay, and the Whale Nuke Brandon Aubrey play. And we've got a bonus pick for the people. Okay.
Yeah.
Wednesday night, Jerry's in the building. My guy. Here's the bet from him. I'll tell you this. If Gerald gets this bet right, next week I'm giving him $100 free roll, and he can keep the winnings on any bet he wants. It could be a parlay, it can be a straight bet, whatever he wants. He's going Josh Allen over 35.5 rushing yards. And that's against Baltimore in prime time. So you can watch that, bet that. That's a bet from Gerald. Josh Allen over 35.5. That is pod picks for the week. Now, week 4's here. FanDuel is starting. Nick and I are doing a lineup each week. I smacked him last year. But again, I smacked everyone in fantasy last year. I was undefeated in every league for like a year. Okay. Now, FanDuel, we know it's a rivalry. And funny enough, Nick and I in the league I commission play each other head to head in that league too. So it's a double whammy this week. Nick and I are both entering our FanDuel lineups into the whatever the biggest event is where first place gets $300K. Nick, why don't you lead us off? Read me your quarterback and your 2 running backs.
All right. So my quarterback is Kyler Murray. My 2 running backs are Alvin Kamara and Jerome Ford. They both got decent matchups this week.
I like it. So you have Kyler, so I'm guessing you're stacking, and I am going with a different stack. I got Lamar Jackson. What I do love about this year's Millionaire Maker, or whatever they call the big tournament, is that they let you put the Sunday night game in there. So that's great. So I've got Lamar at quarterback. He was the second most expensive at $8,900. And then my running backs are Brian Robinson Jr. for Washington against Arizona. Austin Eckler has been ruled out already this week. And side note, shout out to Austin Eckler. He looked fast in the last game. So maybe he was just hurt last year, but good for him. And then my other running back is Travis Etienne Jr. I just have a feeling he has a good week this week. He was a little expensive, but I wanted to get him in my lineup. Nick, give me your receivers.
My receivers doesn't show the pickup closer. My receivers are Marvin Harrison Jr. stacked with Kyler Murray. I've got Nico Collins against the awful Jags secondary. And then I've got Curtis Samuel against Baltimore's secondary, who's been struggling.
I like that. We will have one overlap, it looks like. Yes. I have Nico Collins as well, 7,700. I've got Zay Flowers stacked with Lamar Jackson, 6,700. And then I think DJ Moore finally has a touchdown and has a good game. I've got him as my 3rd receiver at 6,500. So going pretty balanced here. Nick, give me the rest of your roster. Tight end, flex, defense.
Yeah, the rest of my roster, I've got Cole Kmet, tight end. I've got Miles Sanders against the terrible Cincinnati rush defense. And then I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers against Indianapolis Colts, because you never know what might happen with them.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I'm stacking again. I've got Isaiah Likely for the Ravens. I've got Chuba Hubbard in the flex. I think him again against you've got Miles Sanders. I've got the real running back there. Obviously, he was quite a bit more expensive. And then I've got the Raiders defense, because I just needed a cheap defense, and they were 3,700. So Lamar, Brian Robinson, ETN, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, DJ Moore, Isaiah Likely, Chuba Hubbard, Raiders. Give me yours.
I've got Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, Jerome Ford, Marvin Harrison Jr., Nico Collins, Curtis Samuel, Cole Kmet, Miles Sanders, and Pittsburgh Steelers defense.
Love it. And we'll let you guys know if we win any money off these and who wins next week. We appreciate you being here on a Wednesday, all our people. Prop God stopping in with us. So Prop God's got 4 plays, actually. We already went over them. We don't need to go through them again. I am going to post your Aubrey play first thing tomorrow on Instagram as well when I release the pod, because that one obviously needs to get in by tomorrow night. Nick's got 2 plays. I've got 2 plays. What a week, boys. We're winning
Got
overall.
FanDuel.
We're due for a big week. FanDuel's going to be legit. Maybe we'll win a few $100,000 on FanDuel. Who knows?
We've got theme music. You know what I mean?
Oh,
the visuals.
theme
We got tickers.
No, you didn't miss
got
it. It's
theme
going to be
music, you'll see.
only in the audio part. So we are excited. We had a custom song made from one of Nick's friends. So we'll
Shout
see
out
if
to
that
Spencer.
hits or if it doesn't. We'll see. But either way, we got some type of music. Hold on.
Yeah.
Before we leave, I have a bonus bet. I did say I was going to bring everyone an insane bet every week, and I've got it. Okay. I was inspired by the guy who did the 3 first touchdown thing and won 117,000. I don't know if you saw him, but he hit Jamar Chase was the last leg. So I've got a 3-player first touchdown parlay. Okay. Oh, hold on. Timeout before I give mine. Rod from the top rope rolls in. First comment of the whole pod: Fresno State over UNLV. Rod is taking advantage of all the players of UNLV opting out and redshirting. That's my guess here. And he is ahead of the game. Yep, here he is. He just typed it. The QB and the running back just quit. And that's why we're here for you guys, because we've got insiders like Rod who's ahead of the game. All right. My parlay before we leave. $50 will win you $46,875. Okay.
Wow.
They're all first touchdown bets. They have to score the first touchdown of the game. CeeDee Lamb tomorrow night is the first one. The second one is Travis Kelce. Okay. The third one is a guy who didn't get many targets last night, and it's going to be Sunday night. It's Mark Andrews. So it's CeeDee Lamb. Hey, listen, it's simple. CeeDee Lamb scores the first touchdown. Kelce scores the first touchdown, and Mark Andrews scores the first touchdown, and you win $50,000 off $50. Book it.
The first 2 score touchdowns, you cash out for like $15,000. Book it.
100%. Yeah. So we'll see how that does. We appreciate you all, and that'll do it for Pod 5 Week 4 NFL. Nick, are we good?
We're good.
PG, you good?
I'm sorry, I was putting it in Fresno State because I love that bet so much.
I love it. You got to get bets in when you can. All right, we appreciate you all listening, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Good night, Gerald.